Welcome to this evening's policy committee meeting of the Wallingford-Swarthmore School District on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. We're happy to have everybody here. I'm thrilled to have an audience member with us, so thank you for coming. We can start the meeting with roll call. Ms. Whitsett? Here. Ms. Williams? Here. Ms. DeLay? Here. Ms. Crawford? Here. And Ms. Colbert? Here. Thank you. We need to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Do I have someone to put that up? Thank you, Ms. Whitsett. And do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. DeLay. Okay. As we review our protocols, meeting protocols, committee meetings are conducted by Central Office Administration. Board member questions follow each policy item, community public comment and questions following that. And where possible, community members' questions, comments will be addressed by the appropriate administrator. Public comment is a time for the public to make comments to the board. It is not time for discussion. Our protocols for public comment include that we have a 3-minute time limit. Please hold questions to the end of the topic after board members have had time to discuss the topic. And if we can provide clarification or brief response, we will. If more detailed information is required, we will ask the community member to schedule a time with the administration for more detailed discussion. Thank you for everyone's cooperation. Okay, so thank you for the approval. And that moves us into second readings. This month we only have second readings. And so I need to share my screen, right? All right, so we had policy 226 and the AR for 226. 226, really the policy was not changed when we presented it to you last month. What was changed were some things on the AR to make the language consistent with state law regarding student searches. So unless anyone on the committee has any comments to share. We can. No. Okay. So then we can move that forward to the board as a whole. Great, thank you. 227.1 vaporizers, e-cigarettes, and other electronic substance delivery. That is that's a policy that needs to be removed. It's being replaced by 222, which is our new tobacco and vaping policy, which was just approved, I believe, at the November meeting. No questions or concerns about us. Okay, very good. Thank you. Policy 351, controlled substances. Now, this is the employee policy. And again, some of that language is updated and also brought in alignment with the student policy, which is still under review, which is 227. Any questions, comments on 351? No. Thank you. We'll move that forward. And then 829 is our new equity policy. And back up to the top. Were there questions based on what was most recently sent out?
I have a couple of questions, but also to see if the members have any.
Is there a way to make that bigger, or do I need to? I don't know if I can make it any bigger on my screen.
You have to. Did you?
Nope, that's what that. So that's a little better. Was there a place still that you mentioned that there was something that you talked about changing last month?
Just 2 quick points on this one. So under delegation of responsibility, numbers 4 and 6. Under number 4, we had kind of gone back and forth, but I thought we had talked about, and I actually saw the change made in real time that evening, but I don't see it reflected in this version.
Okay.
But we talked about instead of individual cultural uniqueness and differences, we talked about individual differences and cultural uniqueness.
Yes, okay.
Mhm. That was number 4.
Yes.
And then under number 6, we talked about, instead of that last line there, other members of the community, we talked about other stakeholder groups. And again, I saw the change made, so I think maybe it might just be
Yep. That is reflected there. Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments, concerns about policy 829?
Dr. Smith, if I could just really quickly, I'm really excited. Next week I have my second meeting with my student advisory council at the high school. And some of the ideas that are in here, I'm already raising with them, particularly around item number 4, the relevancy of the instructional materials that they experience. The whole topic for next week at their request is about increasing the relevancy and real world learning experiences that we provide to students. And so I turned to this policy when I was creating the agenda, which I sent out to them today. And thought about what can I draw from this policy, even though it's still in draft, but doesn't make it start working from. Because I'm so excited about what this can for setting that direction, setting that pace for the district. And so I just want to mention that it's already a tool for me in the administration to use. And I'm excited about hearing student put on this important topic of real world learning and relevancy of instruction. And particularly cultural relevancy of what we're doing.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'm just glad to see that it's moving forward. I really am, and you know, we don't. These kinds of policies in general are just kind of like overlooked, but it's really important to have this kind of foundation. So.
Thank you. We can move that forward. And then 916, which is our volunteers policy. And the AR that accompany that. Are there any questions or comments?
I just had a quick question since I haven't been following this. I couldn't tell what was new or what was being removed.
So the policy itself was not really being changed. The
Okay.
AR was being changed to include, and I don't, yeah, there it is. I was gonna say, I don't see the green. Really, the AR was changed to include the crowdfunding policy that we had put in place a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Because we think that's important for those volunteer groups to be aware of that process as well.
Right. Okay.
But that's really the extent of it. Any other questions? Comments, concerns?
I had one question
Sure.
about volunteers. We talked about like the,
Sure.
is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the last time you met, I was actually going to bring that up. Doc, you had mentioned, a big committee had mentioned that Dr. Tuck has
Yes.
this type of overview. And so we did reach out to her and we have it. My goal is to release it in December. So we're working on it. It's something that Rachel Riley is looking at right now. To define the difference and just to remind everyone what we're working on there is the difference between a volunteer and a visitor. And we're running, now that we've mentioned it, it's one of those things we're running into a lot where people will say, I don't understand what paperwork is necessary, what approvals are necessary. I'm volunteering. And yet it is such a mental like gymnastics thing around you're volunteering, but you're really just a visitor. A volunteer is a position, like as you mentioned before, a school association or a classroom with a class parent. That's the type of thing that you have to have the volunteer approval for. So it is in the works, and I anticipate having it. This is at December. So my goal is December to come on this great.
I think so. In the AR, it was clarified a little bit of the difference between a volunteer and it doesn't say visitor, it just says non-volunteer.
Right, and then the trick is that we have to put this in sort of layman's terms to get it out to the public to say, this is what this means, so that we don't have to, I agree with your point, it is clearer here in the policy of the AR, but now we have to kind of turnkey it into something that we can actually share with people to say, are you in this column, or are you in this column? And if you're in this column, fill out this paperwork, if you're in this column, fill out this paperwork. So just to make it a little more user-friendly.
I also think it's good for the administrators to have at the building level too, because then they can say like, look, this is the policy, you know, because I've seen parents get upset occasionally, like, that they didn't know they were classified as a volunteer, so
Right.
I think it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that The chart that Dr. Tuck had used was very specific to.
It was
SRS.
fifth grade, it was the
Yeah,
fifth grade.
very specific to SRS, so that's the reason I
Yeah.
couldn't just
Correct, yeah,
plug it in,
yeah.
Oh,
But it was a good idea.
yeah. While we're also talking about follow-up, I just wanted to mention regarding the outsourcing policy, that we are also developing a letter, particularly to our staff and including coaches, to explain when this is necessary. And if they are, because what we put in motion with the policy that was approved is that there needs to be prior approval for any type of crowdfunding. Then any staff member, including coaches and activity directors, activity leaders who might want to take on. And so we thought, well, we need to make a form, we need to make a way for them to seek that approval. So we have drafted a document and a form, and we're working through just some feedback on it and getting this lesson as well. So just want to mention that.
There was one thing in here where it talked about the transportation and volunteers. At one point, it says volunteers are not allowed to transport students, and then you talk about they can. So I thought that that's kind of straight.
Well, I think what we're really saying is they're not supposed to do it. If they do it, it's their liability. We are not taking any responsibility for that because we've been pretty explicit that you should not be driving students as part of volunteer responsibility.
And the language says no volunteer will be requested or required, so it's basically saying, we're not gonna ask you to do it, and then if you choose to do it.
Right.
That's on your liability.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, aren't we still responsible for the student and we're supposed to protect their welfare?
Mhm.
So they shouldn't be put in a position where a volunteer is saying, hey, you missed the bus, I'll take you over to Giants.
Right.
Yeah.
It just means that he misses that day, that experience in Giant that day because he wasn't there. So that's what I'm getting at, that it should be a firm not.
Well, it does say that if they want to, they must request and obtain prior approval from the superintendent. So I think that kind of, excludes them from doing it unless they have permission from Dr. Johnston, right?
That's- Yes.
Otherwise, that would be a total violation of the law.
That would get them off of the volunteer.
Yes,
Correct. Last month we talked about.
Yes, yeah.
That's not right, yes.
Yes. Any other questions, comments, or concerns about policy amendment 16 AL? Okay. All right, so then it sounds like we can move all of those forward to the board for a vote in December. Thank you. And then that takes us to our public comment section of the evening. So I see we have someone in the audience. Is there anything that you wanted to share with the board?
So just with regard to the equity statement,
And
we went through,
I apologize. I'm sorry. Can we get your name and
Yes.
the street upon which you live?
my name is Ashwini Ahmad. I'm a part of the Swarthmore, HRC, and I live on 319 College Avenue.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, I met up with, Dr. Johnston about a few months ago, talk about the equity statement, and the team basically gave feedback. The reason I thought, it would be good to attend and have a conversation with you guys. We recently went through some PHRC training at the state level, and there were a couple of points around student success. There were a couple of points about equity, which kind of came into that conversation. They are going to send us some documentation and links, and I just want to make sure that I can share that with you guys as you have it. I know this is work in progress. It's in wheels in motion, but did want to bring that up, that there's a lot of, training, which we are going through ourselves to understand more about, how we can serve better to our community. And this was one of the key things which I thought I would keep come in and share and talk to you guys so that, you guys are aware that this is coming. I'm just waiting for the team to basically consolidate that and send it. We had a training before Thanksgiving. So all those materials, Dr. Johnston, should be coming your way. Yeah, and, of course, we are here to help in any form or shape if you need us to review things, happy to kind of contribute and support, as needed.
So are you asking that we not move it to a second read until we get the information from you to see if we should make changes to adjust? Because it is important that we get that equity piece down and the wording so that it's specific to the group that you're speaking of and not general.
Yeah.
So, or do we get another chance after second read?
Well, there's not another chance after second read, but if you recall from last month, Mr. Diazio did talk about creating an AR for this, which would then sort of go into some of that deeper level of detail, which might be an appropriate place for this information.
Okay. So I know that PSBA has a training, I registered for it, it's an equity training, and it's free. And then there was also one on community engagement. That's free that I registered for. I can't tell you what it is because I haven't done the course yet. I just registered today, but I just want to put it out there that there is two trainings in the PSBA.
When I first joined, I think I did one. It's there, I know it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much. Yes,
Will the AR be presented before we take a vote to approve?
no, we'll be working on the AR, but we don't have that ready for. With this the policy will be at the December meeting, but the AR will not be at the December meeting.
Okay,
Hopefully January, but
well, we don't really have to do anything with the AR, right? Like,
we would want you to see it.
Yeah, it's an important area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Anything else? Okay, all right. Thank you for your input and for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. Our next meeting date is January 6th in the new year, so that's exciting. Same place, B226 at Strathaven Middle School. And if we can, I think we can adjourn for the evening.